Well, so far for my rankings after 9 months, Coronation Street's been at number one. 7 out of the 9 months I've done this. The other only soap opera to be number one was Shortland Street at the beginning of this year, 2022. But for the first time in June 2022, EastEnders tops my rankings at number one. Is EastEnders back? I'm not quite sure, but I have to give props to Kate Oates, and I've talked a lot of shit about Kate Oates sometimes. That she can write a dark, depressing soap opera too much. Kate Oates is the head of BBC's division or whatever with the soap operas, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen after Jon Sen left. I didn't think there would be this huge of a gap between Jon Sen and Chris Clenshaw taking over as head producer of the show, but there's been a huge gap, and Kate Oates is kind of the bridge between that gap. But she's done a very good job, and I think it's just really shown these past few months of EastEnders just how bad Jon Sen's EastEnders was. I haven't seen every era of EastEnders. I've seen some of the early years, I've seen a lot of the 2000s, and often end in the 2010s. The 90s is my weakest point of EastEnders, and that's maybe why I'm not this huge Phil fan like a lot of people are. But from all of the EastEnders I've watched, Jon Sen's era was by far the worst era of EastEnders. And we're seeing that now because I don't know what it was. I think Jon Sen just had a lot of bad ideas, and he liked to stretch out all of his ideas way too long. But we're seeing the aftermath of it, that EastEnders is very fixable. I thought there for a while when I started these rankings that EastEnders might not be so fixable. But much like Young and the Restless, EastEnders is proving me wrong. I've enjoyed a lot of the stories as of late. And I think the best part is that they're not stretching things out too long. That's the big thing for me. I don't know if this is a pace that EastEnders can keep. All of the faster shows like Shortland Street, Home and Away, and Bold and the Beautiful. Bold and the Beautiful is too fast. Shortland Street can be too. Home and Away probably does the best with their pacing, at least being consistent. But mostly the other soap operas in these rankings stretch things out too long. Sometimes it works, like in Coronation Street's case, when the writing is strong, but the writing's usually not strong, so you're just stretching things out too long for the sake of stretching them out because it's a soap opera. But the current pace to EastEnders is one of the big reasons why it is number one in my rankings. We had Ben's rape. I talked about it last month, and he's been breaking down, but he did quickly tell his mom, Kathy, that Lewis raped him. So we're getting the aftermath of that story, and I think they've done well. I mean, Kathy's reaction it's good with Ben, but I don't know how I feel about Kathy acting like Peter shouldn't be upset that Ben is the one that attacked him. Kathy even threatened Peter that she would basically disown Peter if Peter went to the police. And it was, of course, Lewis that let Peter know that Ben is the one that attacked him. So Lewis made for a good villain for what we got out of him. I doubt we've seen the last of him. But all in all, I do think they've done a good job with this story. Ben even was able to talk to Jay about the rape. So the pace for the rape story was good. I said in May that if the pace is stretched out, then this is probably going to be a bad storyline. But the pace so far has worked well. So Linda took Janine's money when Janine was trying to get Linda to leave town. And Linda took Nancy out for a day to tell this information to Nancy, and that Janine stole the money from Nancy, but all they did was get into an argument about Linda because Linda's mothering, since she's been an alcoholic, has been so bad. Nancy stormed off, leaving Linda by herself. Linda started drinking. She called Mick to come and pick her up, but Janine answered the phone. Janine's the one that showed up to take Linda. They end up in a car accident. Janine was driving, but she moved Linda's body, who was passed out, around to make it look like Linda was driving drunk. So that's been the big story right now for EastEnders. And I do enjoy the storyline. I don't know where they go from here with Janine. Janine's return is that they've written Janine already into a corner very quickly. I don't know if Jon Sen is to blame for that, but probably, because he was so bad at his job. And some of the reactions to the Carters being so harsh on Linda is a bit over the top, especially the Mick and Janine relationship itself. It's clearly not working, but I think Mick knows that. I think he's just jumped in because Mick's kind of lost right now. At least that's what I see from the character of Mick. But Linda is now having to deal with the demons that maybe she drove drunk with her child in the car. A side story to this has been how Nancy treats Zach like shit, and she did. Nancy did treat Zach like shit a lot, so Zach ended up being seduced by Sam Mitchell and sleeping with her. But then one of the they got a delivery from a delivery service where a package was delivered, and Sam and Zach both walked out, Zach shirtless and Sam looking like she's in her PJs. And somehow that was in the picture from the delivery service that was sent to Nancy's phone. And I saw some people thinking this was dumb, but I liked the way that EastEnders did this. This was an outside of the box, modern way for EastEnders to quickly reveal that Sam and Zach had a one-night stand. This picture was shown in front of everyone. It was very soapy. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that reveal a lot. It all led to Nancy eventually leaving. I don't know how I feel about Nancy leaving. She's not one of my favorite characters, but the writing for Nancy in this return, thanks to Jon Sen, wasn't good, of course. Stuart's still going through hell, and he's putting Rainey through hell as well. You know, Stuart hasn't been able to connect with the baby they adopted from Bernie, and now he's even going as far as to making it hard for Rainey to keep the child because of the way Stuart's been acting. And I see some complaints that they've really made Stuart annoying and that they're ruining Stuart. This has always been Stuart. It's confusing me. I get that they have tried to redeem Stuart, but to me, Stuart's always been a super annoying character. Never been a huge fan of Stuart. So I think they're writing Stuart very much in character. And, you know, Stuart is actually going through a lot of grief and a lot of depression because of his cancer. So the writing fits for this as well. Now, with Phil in prison and Sam trying to be the head of the Mitchell family, it seemed like some of the mafia that Sam pissed off, and with Phil in prison not being there to protect them, was kind of harassing Kat and even beat up Mitch and Harvey, the cab drivers for Kat's company. And then two thugs were holding Sharon and Kat at gunpoint. This was after Shirley was getting in their faces about how she's declaring war on the Mitchells, basically, because she blames Phil for the death of her daughter, even though Greg killed her daughter, but I get why she blames Phil. But this whole thing with the thugs and basically Sam jumping in front of Kat when the gunman shoots them was actually set up by Sam to basically cause a rift between Kat and Sharon and make Kat and Sam have a closer relationship. So Sam's around causing a good amount of trouble. She can annoy me at times, but I think she is going to make for a good villain this go round. Another thing EastEnders is doing right is the Stacy and Kirat starting a relationship, which seems to be they're finally going ahead with that. I think the two will work very well together as characters. So I'm glad that EastEnders is taking this direction, because I do think it is the right direction for these two characters to be a couple. But there's a lot going on. Chelsea's been having a hard time being a mother after everything that happened with Gray. She's been working hard. She missed her kids' vaccination shots. We got Kim and Howie developing a relationship. I think I'm going to like them together. Kim remains comedy relief at this point, but those two still work for me. And so I just feel like EastEnders is starting to get back on track. Now, is it completely on track? No. Is there still a lot of weaknesses? Of course. Every show, every soap especially, is going to have weaknesses. They have to put out so many episodes a week. But I think Kate Oates did a very good job being the bridge between Jon Sen's terrible era and we're moving on to Chris Clenshaw. I still don't know exactly when, but I assume soon. And I know a lot of EastEnders fans, I have this unpopular opinion that the show could easily survive without Phil. And I think with Phil being in prison and not really on a lot, they are kind of proving my point that EastEnders is a more dynamic show when Phil's not around, because a lot of drama always goes through Phil and has for the most part of the last 3 decades, probably at least 2.5. I don't like when a character eats up so much airtime, and so many stories have to go through that character on a soap opera. So I'm enjoying that every character's stories are kind of getting a chance to shine recently on EastEnders, with Phil being in prison. I've also enjoyed the dynamics about all the women trying to run the Mitchell family businesses, Kat, Sharon, and Sam. That's been entertaining as well. Now, with Clenshaw coming in, there's rumors that he's going to have a lot of exits. We've already saw Nancy exit, which was not spoiled at all. So that worries me, that I don't know if Clenshaw is planning this big event with a lot of deaths. You never know with a British soap opera. But I'm hoping that's not the case, because I do feel like EastEnders is getting back on track, and having so many exits around the same time could hurt. I even forgot to talk about the Suki and Eve storyline, with Eve coming on to Suki. Suki's always never wanting to deal with the fact that she is into women. And Eve was kind of getting this vibe from Suki, but when they ended up kissing, Suki slapped her, kicked her out. I want to see where that storyline going to. So they're setting up a lot of things I want to see. I just hope Clenshaw doesn't come in and do too much too soon and ruin a lot of the progress that EastEnders is making, getting back on track. I have no idea what to expect from Clenshaw. Hoping for the best, but as of right now, June 2022, EastEnders was the #1 soap opera for the month, because they're getting characters back on track, getting stories back on track. We're getting to see, a lot of layers in characters. I just think they did a really good job these last few months to get to this place, to really fix the show, and I am into it. So I hope they keep it up.